Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agle, ni hao, chune shumme, washwele. Oh, hi, Gonzaimes, guten Morgen. Hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shama chatore, ahlan wasahlan, marhaba, privyet, buna, mucho, gracias, suavia, bhali kare aaya. And to everybody who's tuned into PT World, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome. You're definitely tuned in and watching World this morning on PTV World. The name is Shazad Khan, and it's a very fine Monday morning. I think that there's a little bit of transition which we can experience in terms of weather. And so last night was a little colder, but today when I woke up, I thought that, I really need to turn on the air conditioner of the car. But yeah, I think that everybody needs to be very careful with it these days, ladies and gentlemen. You really need to look after yourself so that you don't fall ill. Other than that, there are a lot of viral flus out there as well. So please just make sure that everybody out there is perfectly fine. And this is what everybody needs to know, for all of those 46 countries we are being viewed in right now. I think that this is the best thing to say early in the morning, that may you have a great day, may you have a good day, may all of your energies be transferred into something which is worthwhile for you too as well. And for everybody who wants to bring about a change in life, ladies and gentlemen, I think that what really need to do, this is something which I do every day. And that is that I remind myself every day that I've gotten another chance to make my life more excellent, more vibrant, and that I can achieve more in life as well because I've been given another chance. And if that's how you're going to look at life, I think everybody's going to be happy, everybody's going to work hard, everybody's going to put in all of what is required to be that one particular person which you wanted to be ever in your life. Well, that's something which is sorted. But now today, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a very different program. First of all, I'm very lucky that I've actually been joined by guests from outside Pakistan. And I think that when we think about this country, the only thing which I can think about is, well, it's not the only thing, but it's the first thing which comes to my mind, and that's technology. And ladies and gentlemen, it's 2020. We all know that, this is an era of technology. This is an era of Internet of Things. This is an era of education. And education has always been very important. But Mr. Mugabe once said that we cannot actually convince the newer generations to study hard, and it's because of the fact that we are surrounded by poor graduates and rich criminals. And I think that this is something which everybody needs to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that a lot of times we have taken inspiration, for example, from Bill Gates or other people who were dropouts, but those were exceptions, and not everybody has got that kind of talent to do whatever they did in life. So yes, I think that every now and then we really need to reiterate upon how important education is. And over here in Pakistan, we have seen that people, they go to England, they go to Canada, they go to United States of America. For that matter, they go to Japan. They go to so many other countries so that they can learn what the world knows and then come back to their country and serve and then, yeah, earn a good livelihood for themselves as well. But whenever we talk about education, ladies and gentlemen, over here, I know that we are the privileged ones who get to go to the private schools and universities, or probably go to universities outside Pakistan as well. But what about people who are over here in Pakistan who do not have a lot of resources, but they're still very intelligent, they're very vibrant, they want to learn more in life? I think that we have a great window for them, and we're going to talk about these opportunities as well, ladies and gentlemen, because I've actually been joined by some amazing people from Japan who are working within the education sector. And the good news is that they will be giving scholarships to Pakistani students as well. And there are Pakistani students in Japan as of now who are studying over there, not on scholarship, but now this program has been announced recently. So we'll talk about that as well. And what kind of education are they going to offer to people who will be traveling from Pakistan, from any other part of the world? Because let's take it this way. Japan, one of the most developed nations, one of the most developed countries, very resilient, and then at the same time, they're always on point with technology too as well. So imagine for a country who's on point with technology, I think that they have got a lot of learned people over there, and we really need to learn from them as well. But just very quickly before we get started and before I introduce our guests as well, ladies and gentlemen, the relationship of Pakistan and Japan goes back in 1951. And when it was the San Francisco Peace Conference, Pakistan was the only South Asian country to actually make a comment and say that, Japan needs to be treated with dignity as well. So I think that for all of these brotherly countries to be around us, it's a wonderful thing. And I think that since the Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, has taken office, a lot of other countries are interested in investing in Pakistan as well. Even though that China has got a lot of investment in Pakistan, but there's no comparison between Japan, China, or the relationships. But it was in millions of dollars, but now I think gradually it's going to be in billions of dollars too as well. But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about it today. Yeah, it's a little hot in the studio, so if my producer wants to turn on the air conditioner, we can do that too as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, I'm very lucky that I've been actually joined by, I mean, imagine I'm sitting over here in Pakistan and I'm actually going to see somebody who's actually served his term as a foreign minister in foreign affairs as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the former senior vice minister of foreign affairs of Japan. Presently, he's the vice president of crisis management as well. He's none other than Professor Shozo Azuma. Hello, Ohio gozaimasu. How are you?
Ohayou gozaimasu.
How are you?
Fine.
Thank you very
fine.
much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Yeah,
Good
thank you
morning.
very much.
And alongside him, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by the Director General Kake Educational Program as well. He's Okayama, Japan. He's none other than from Mitsugu Otsuki. Hello, Ohio gozaimasu. How are you?
I'm fine. It's very nice to be here, and I'm very honored to be able to join in this program.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, the Director Kake Pakistan as well. He's none other than Chaudhry Hamid Latif Saab. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine, yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. So let's get the conversation started. First of all, the first thing which I'm going to ask you is what brings you to Pakistan?
Well, I brought happiness.
Happiness. Okay.
It means my name. Happiness.
Wow, that's good.
Huh?
Yeah.
My family name Azuma. It means east.
Wow.
So from east, 3 happiness came here. One.
That's great.
It's the giving a lot of opportunity
Wow.
to Pakistan young people
Wow. Yeah.
to study abroad,
Exactly.
especially in Japan.
And that's great. You know, unfortunately, even though, ladies and gentlemen, that you can learn, even if you're 60 years old or 70 years old, if you want to learn, you can always learn. And I think that's great. But we'll definitely dig in asking about, you know, who will be eligible for that scholarship. But before we do that, I think I'll move on to Mitsugu as well, where I want to ask, please tell us about the Kake education program,
Okay.
first of all.
Okay, so let me tell you briefly about the Kake Educational Institution. So it was established in 1961
Yep.
by the founder, Mr. Tsutomu Kake. So right after the World War II, as you might know, the land has completely destroyed.
Exactly.
So he thought that the education is only method to rebuild these countries.
Yep.
So he started to engage the education. And also, he thought another thing that he thought about, he do not want to war anymore. So that means a peace education. So he thought that he want to make a friend in foreign countries. The foreign countries with their friend never attack to Japan.
All right.
Japan never attack to the foreign countries with a
Yep.
friend in Japanese.
Yep.
So that is based on Japanese, our educational institutions
Yep.
for peace. So we concluded an educational agreement in 1979 with Wright State University, Dayton, Ohio. That is the first sister school. Since then, we have making so many higher education all over the world. So now 71 higher education organization with 19 countries in the world.
Wow.
And since 1979, we have been actively involved in many international exchange programs, such as student exchange, faculty exchange, international education, and so forth, so forth.
Yeah. And talking about these exchange programs, I'm very sorry to barge in as well. Roughly from how many countries is Japan hosting students?
How many countries? So actually, for international students, we have 15 countries, including Pakistan. We have 20 international students from Pakistan.
It's great and it's fabulous as well, and we will definitely need to learn more about it. But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Kake Pakistan chapter as well, because Chaudhry Saab is over here. So Chaudhry Saab, please, come on, build up on that.
Yeah, Kake Education Institution is based in Okayama, Japan.
Yeah.
Okayama is the western part of Japan.
Okay.
As Mr. Otsuki told you that it is established in 1961. Since then, they're working on education.
Yep.
In Pakistan, we established our Kake office in 2013.
Wow.
Since more than 6 or 7 years, we are working in Pakistan, introducing the Japanese language, the culture, and the people living in Pakistan, that you know everything about Japan,
Alright.
but you must know what is Japan, where is it located, how you can go to Japan to learn the culture, the most rich culture in the world.
Yep.
This is a basic promotional Kake educational institution in in Pakistan, especially
Okay.
for the youth of Pakistan.
All right. Well, that's great, and thank you very much for telling me that. But I will put you under the spot for a little while. I'm sorry that I have
problem,
to do
yeah.
that. But yeah, I think that's my responsibility to do so. So asking about the Khage Pakistan chapter and the institute itself, so for all of those people who are studying within that institute, are they going to get a chance in once in a life that they will go to Japan, or they're just studying so that they know better about Japan?
No, this we are a Pakistan office exactly in
Yeah.
Pakistan. The youth of Pakistan or the students who wish to go to Japan for studies, as we have many students in our universities,
Yep.
people are every year after 6 months, we have 2 intakes in a year.
All right.
Students are going to Japan for studies.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's great. And what kind of studies are we talking about? Are we talking about medicine? Are we talking about business studies? Are we talking about international relations? What are the kind of courses which are available? So let's start with you.
Well, except for medicine, we can give all kind of courses.
Wow.
Around 100.
Around 100 different
Co- co-
courses
different
other
courses.
than medicine.
Yeah.
Well, I never knew so many courses existed. Well, that's great.
For example, in the university,
Yep.
Chiba Institute
Yeah.
of Science, which we can give
Yep.
crisis management,
Yeah.
which is the unique course for the first time in Japan
Wow.
and in Asia.
Yeah.
It was founded around 15 or 16 years ago.
That's great. So, talking about crisis management, I think a lot of people can learn from that over here in Pakistan because other than crisis management, there's a holistic approach to that.
Yeah.
But not just that, as an individual, I think everybody needs to know how to manage crises as well because these days, I think one way or the other, somebody is or, facing or suffering from such problems in life as well. So, if you are to give a quick tip to people who might have a little bit of crisis in their life,
Yeah.
what do you think they need to do? Come on,
Yeah.
tell them.
Very good question.
Thank you.
Whether you have to distinguish between the daily crisis and the extraordinary crisis,
Okay.
Such as the 3/11,
Yeah.
it happened in Japan
Yes.
by the tsunami
Exactly.
and earthquake.
Exactly.
So this was weird.
Yeah.
From that moment, I got this one
Okay.
because I cannot remember that one.
All right.
At that moment, extraordinary the accident, if it happened,
All right.
the majority of the people, they cannot understand how to respond.
All right.
We have to learn how to respond,
How to respond.
at that incident.
Yeah.
That is a crisis management.
Exactly.
So nobody can assess its extraordinary incident.
Yep.
But we have to train to do that. That is the crisis management.
Well, that's great. So, do you think? Okay, I think that the second part, the second bit is left. So we'll come back to that. But how important it is for anybody to be a good crisis manager? In terms, do you think that for all of those crises he's gone through or she's gone through in their life, do you think it's very essential for them to remember?
We have to
all of them?
recognize it will happen.
Okay.
But the majority of the people, they think that it might not happen.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize that.
Exactly.
We cannot manage it.
Exactly.
That is the most important. Many intellectual people,
Yep.
Based on the known risk, they might think that they can manage extraordinary incident. It's wrong.
All right.
That is the first step which we have to learn.
Well, that's great. And since you're a professor, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm taking advantage of the opportunity and learning myself as well. So let me put a situation right in front of you. And we'll definitely talk about, how and people are going to get all of those scholarships as well. But very quickly, so every day in life when you get up, you want to be awesome, right? That's fine. But every day there are these thoughts in your head that, okay, what if I lose my job? What if my kid falls ill? What if something goes wrong? What if my parents are not around? So all of these insecurities, I think, will lead you to another crisis as well. How do you think that we really need to differentiate in between liability and overthinking?
Yeah, good question.
Thank you once again.
That is related to education.
Okay.
For example, I have 2 daughters.
Yep.
I wish that they be happy.
Exactly.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
They have to decide. They have to make better decision for them.
Yep.
Our education,
Yep.
if possible, it helps them
Yep.
to understand in proper way.
Yeah.
That is one of the education which we are giving
I think that's
through education.
Yeah,
You know,
and
institute.
it's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. You know, just having a 5-minute conversation with the honorable guest over here. I think I feel a little relaxed too as well. I'm happy, yeah, and we want everybody to be happy too as well. But very quickly now, moving on to the universities we have. So there's one Okayama University of Science, then there's Kurashiki University of Science and the Arts, and then the third one is Chiba Institute of Science as well. So what are the criteria for people who are actually going to get these scholarships, and for which courses? Or and do you think that it's just the scholarship program, or anybody can apply to the university and get selected? And what's the criteria for applying?
Okay. Three University, Okayama University of Science, is the first university that we, the founder, established.
Wow.
So it has now the 7 faculties, the college, Faculty of Science and Engineering, Faculty of Veterinarians, and 7 faculties. And criteria is that we receive, criteria is that so many, like he said, that approximately
100 courses.
yeah, 100 courses, and also we are very positive in recruiting international students, including Pakistan. So actually, 7 years ago,
Okay.
2013,
13.
I first came to Pakistan. So now I walk around the street of the Islamabad. There's so many cars driving around, but Honda, Nissan, Toyota. But I asked one of the students, 2 or 3 students, but they know the name of the car, like or Toyota and Honda, and they also know the electric appliance like Panasonic. But they do not. They know almost nothing about what a Japan is like.
Yeah.
So I was very shocked. So right after so I recognized that situation, I tried to explain about the Japanese education, what the Japanese industry, Japanese education system, and so forth and so forth. So next year, I also came here and recruit, and by the help of Mr. Hamid, we held a seminar and to interview with some of the students. So we finally we were able to receive the international student from Pakistan. Now, about 20 students learning our universities. But actually, the Japanese education system here is very not primitive. Only 1 or 2 Japanese language schools is only located here. So we have intensive Japanese language programs. So that is the educational institution for Japanese language for the people who would like to go enter the undergraduate division of the universities. So because Pakistan language, Urdu, is non-kanji character language, so at least 2 years is necessary to master.
All right.
So they're studying very hard. So it's very hard to study Japanese language, including kanji character. You know that it's almost the same that we start to learn the Urdu language from this age.
Yeah.
So, but actually, they are very much actively involved in doing study. Right after the completion of Japanese language, most of the students go on to the undergraduate divisions.
All right.
So I'm very much looking forward with great anticipation for their finding the job. So that is linked between Pakistan and Japan in the future.
Exactly. And thank you very much for shedding light on that too as well. But I think that what is very important for us to understand right now is that for every student who will actually apply to a university in Japan, is it a prerequisite to know Japanese in the first place?
Yes.
It's a prerequisite.
Yes.
Don't you think that it will be a little difficult for people to apply then? Because initially they will have to learn the language for a year's time or 2 years' time. And you said it very rightly. Yeah, it's just like if I start to learn Japanese right now or you start to learn Urdu, it'll be the same way as well.
I completely understand. It's very difficult to learn Japanese language, but almost in our universities, almost all the lectures and practical training will be conducted in Japanese language.
Yep.
So Japanese is vitally necessary for them to study, enroll all the curriculums of the universities. But there are some universities in Japan that Japanese is not necessary, only English is so English is okay, not university. But right after they graduate from that universities, when they would like to enter the Japanese enterprises, so Japanese student without Japanese is not welcomed.
Yeah.
So
That's something very true as well, ladies and gentlemen, because I've had friends who've been working in Japan, I've had friends who've been working in Russia as well. so you really have to speak the native language in order to work over there as well. And if there's an opportunity for you to work in Japan or Russia or any other country for that matter, I think that it will actually widen the horizon of your exposure. You will know better. You will learn a lot, and I think that this is something which is required in today's time. Because okay, I think that this is one important question. I want to come on to Choi Saab, but Professor, let me ask you. So now, as a matter of fact, when we talk about studies these days, there are people who say that it's not the degree which is important, it's the skill set. So do you think that we still really need to earn a degree rather than earning a skill set in the first place? Or do you think that for all of these universities I've mentioned about, is it hands-on learning? Is it all about practicing the skill set as well? Or just getting the degree first and then whatever or wherever you could work?
Let's rather take an example. For example, the founder of the national or Panasonic, a very famous Japanese man, Matsushita Konosuke.
Yep.
He just graduated from the junior or the primary school.
Really?
He wanted to go to junior or high school,
Wow.
but he couldn't.
Yeah.
But just for the 11 years of year, he started to think
Yeah.
about his future.
Yeah.
And he got, his very famous company.
How old was he when he went to the high school?
He,
Yeah, yeah.
he didn't.
He didn't.
He couldn't
Okay.
because of poverty.
Yeah, yeah.
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 And he they went to work to some small scale, company.
All right.
And he learned many things
Yeah. From there.
from them.
Yeah.
And they started to think about to create
Yeah.
this electric
Exactly, lights and everything. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, well,
And for example,
Yeah.
as you mentioned already, the Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Bill Gates,
He
yeah.
just dropped out
Yeah.
from University of Stanford.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But he knew what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
That is. But the many people would like to get degree for what?
That's what I'm asking you.
Mm,
What is
why?
special? What's going to happen to me, or what's going to be so special about a degree from cheap?
They might think that
Yeah.
once they get the degree,
Yeah.
they can get something.
Exactly.
But the something, what is that? If they get the
Yeah.
doctorate degree
Yep.
of industrial, and do you think that they can invent
All right.
something new by themselves?
Exactly.
That is the question. If they can do that,
You don't need a degree.
that's it.
Are you saying that if you can invent something, you don't need a degree? Because a lot of people can invent a lot of things, but not everything will be welcomed by the world.
That's right.
But
But on the other hand, to tailor your personal career, degree
Yep.
will serve.
exactly.
That is a society. We cannot neglect that the society.
Exactly.
But I doubt that. Even where they get a lot of various different degree,
Yeah.
they can they produce, be productive to the development of society. Questioning.
Yeah, that's our question mark. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we definitely have to head out towards a short break, but you don't go anywhere. Because when you guys will come back, we'll actually ask George Saab over here whether, what kind of undergraduate programs or what kind of master's programs are available for students to opt for, and how are we going to give out these scholarships to Pakistani students as well. What are the prerequisites? Obviously, everybody need to learn the language in the first place. We have the Kake Pakistan segment over here in Pakistan as well, where you can definitely go and learn the language, or probably they will guide you in the best of the ways as well. But right now, we're heading out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys will come back, I have some more interesting questions to ask Professor and everybody over here in the studios. Let's do this. Good morning. Ohio Gonzalez.
Passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Chandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Chandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Chandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan. The event in itself offers a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of the people of this region. Their culture and indigenous customs are a delight to behold for the visitors. Crystal clear lakes, snow-covered mountains, alpine flowers, and vast stretches of green grass are added attractions. Fairs and festivals of Pakistan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV while you watching World This Morning alongside Shahzad Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wonderful day outside. It's a little sunny. Well, I don't think that you really need to wear a lot of warm clothes, but yeah, one or two sweaters or probably a coat will actually do. The weather, other than that, I think it's going to be dry today as well. But for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, today I think that I'm very happy, and it's because of the fact that I've actually been joined by our friends from Japan, who are over here offering educational scholarships to people within Pakistan as well. And I think it's a great omen, it's a good cultural exchange as well. And not just that. So in the previous half of the show, I've given a lot of history of the friendship in between Pakistan and Japan, you know, what we really need to do. But other than that, there's one more beautiful thing which I wanted to tell you, and that too I always thought that I'm going to share it with you after the break. So ladies and gentlemen, this entire PTV was set up by our Japanese counterparts as well back in 1970s. Not just this one, even the PTV Sports Studio where I do my sports show from. And you know, there's this one interesting part, and that's how I got to know that, you know, it was actually developed by the Japanese counterparts, that the locks open upside down. You know, I don't know why. So I think that this is something which I wanted to ask, but right now let's focus on the education as well. So Choi Saab, coming on to you, we have discussed that it's a prerequisite to know the Japanese language.
Yep.
You know, the Kake education, Pakistan chapter helps us in learning the language and letting us know about what other opportunities we might have in Japan. But now let's talk about the undergraduate program or the postgraduate programs as well. I mean, what kind of requirements are there? For example, in universities which are in USA or Canada, we have to pass the GREs, the SATs, you know, all of these exams. So for Japan, what do we have to do? Do we just have to go attest our degree and everything from HEC or HSSCC? You know, so how does it work?
Okay. It's, for the last 6 or 7 years, people are inclined to go to Japan for studies.
Yep.
Before, it was only for the students who want to go for PhDs or doctorate programs in Japan. In our universities or other Japanese universities, the basic requirement is, the prerequisite is, you must know the language minimum level at N5.
Yeah.
As you talk about the English SAT test, GRE and IELTS or TOEFL, the same requirement we must have to pass Japanese language proficiency test in Pakistan, or you must possess with at least minimum level of N5 is the basic minimum level.
All right.
If anyone want to go to studies for Japan, he must have minimum language level, that is the basic one, N5 we call it. The first requirement is you must equip with the language at minimum level.
Can you elaborate upon this as well? You know, what do we mean by the minimum level?
Yeah, it's a basic level.
How are you? You know, where are you
No,
going?
you
Something
have
of
to-
that sort.
This reading, writing, speaking, and listening, all for components.
Writing as well.
Yeah, writing is as well. It basic. Japanese writing is 3 types.
Yeah.
We use 3 types of to learn the language skills of writing. That is hiragana, katakana, and the Chinese characters called kanji
Hinagana, katakana,
and kanji.
kanji.
Yeah.
3 different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yes. The N5 is the lowest level of Japanese JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test. So that is vitally necessary to go on to the Japanese intensive Japanese programs. So the reason that we request them to take the level 5 is when we receive them, not only Pakistan people, but also some other countries like Nepal and China and Korea and so the instructor teaches them Japanese in Japanese. So at least the L5 is vitally necessary to enroll that curriculum, the intensive Japanese language program.
All right, and that's great. Thank you very much for telling us that as well. So moving on from the language now, what are the prerequisites to get our admission in an undergrad program?
Yeah. So minimum education requirement is you must have passed 12 years of education in your country.
Okay.
Not less than that.
All right.
I'm talking about this, not about the distance learning. I'm talking about this our university admission programs.
Yeah.
If anyone has passed 12 years or plus 12,
Yep.
he can be shortlisted to get admission in our universities in Japan.
All right.
And the basic I told you before is a Japanese basic level. These are
Right.
2 requirements are must to and get admission in universities
Okay.
and to apply for the entry test in our universities.
Okay, so we have to appear in the entry test as well.
Yeah.
And
it's
can
on-
that entry test be given over here in Pakistan
yeah,
as well?
in Pakistan, yeah.
Okay. And what kind of questions do you ask in entry test? I mean, just in case if there are kids out there who want to actually prepare for the test.
Yeah. The test is the question paper always comes from Japan
All right.
10 minutes before the test.
And it's in Japanese as well.
It's Japanese, all Japanese. Yeah.
All right. But have you appeared in such an exam before? You yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I appeared.
So
yeah.
what were the questions you were asked? Let me ask you.
It's about the basic of.
Okay.
It's a basic. You can how good you can write, how you understand what is the question.
Okay.
It's about 30 minutes or 1 hour test.
Okay.
It depends upon the university of requirement of the universities,
Yeah.
but it's not so difficult.
Okay.
It's not so
That's
difficult.
great. Now let's talk about the prerequisites of the master's program. 16 years of education.
Yeah, I want to add you here because there is no directly master program offered here in Pakistan because you have to get some certain level of Japanese
Language
language
as well, yeah.
possessing with you. That's why you can get admission master's level.
Okay.
That's why we are offering undergraduate programs now. First of all, we have to offer language program in Japan.
Yep.
Then it's clubbed with the undergraduate programs. This is the process whole.
All right. Well, that's great. Now, Fumitsu,
Yeah.
it's a question for you. Now, for everybody who's actually going to invest a lot of time in learning the language, then going to Japan, earning a degree, are they going to have equal opportunities to find a job within Japan as well? Or is the university going to help them? Because, we have a lot of alumni offices now these days where we bridge gaps in between the industry and the education sector so that the student, as soon as they've graduated, they can work. So how does that work?
Okay, so in 3 universities, there is a special department called Career Center. So Career Center is working for also finding a job, and especially for the international student. After the graduation of the university, after the graduate from our 3 university, and then they find jobs.
Yep.
But the most important thing is to obtain the necessary visa
Okay.
from Japan. Only 2 visas. One is the visa is international activities, international, and the other is skilled. For example, skill visa is, for example, in Okayama University of Science, they learned electronic engineering and they got a job at the software. The same, the university content, the same in the company. And the other one, international activities, for example, in Pakistan, so to get a job in a Pakistan trading company,
Yep.
and interpretation and translation, that is international activities. There are
All
only
right.
2. So if they find a job, for example, a restaurant or some other kind, but if they cannot get a visa for that, so they cannot find a job. So that is very important. So civil times a year, we have a very big career center exhibition event in the gymnasium or the hall of the hotels. So the personnel section of each company will be coming maybe 500, 600. So, and students are moving around the booths, including international students. And so there is a good match, and taking the visa into considerations, so they find a job. We have a great support for this international student also.
And that's good. Yeah.
In other words, I would say around 96% they can get with the job.
Wow.
On the
96%.
condition that
Wow.
they learned lot, got all necessary
All right.
items, as well as good character,
Okay.
very energetic,
Yeah.
and respond very good.
Yeah.
But then the majority of the company they would like to get
Yeah.
compared to Japanese the people who are not energetic.
Yeah. I think I would have got a job
That's
in Japan,
it.
no?
That's right.
That's wonderful too as well. I'm very happy working for PTV. But other than that, now I think this is a question which will actually wrap up the entire conversation as well. Other than studies, other than learning the language, what other opportunities do you think the international students would get while being in Japan or studying in your universities as well? As in, let's talk about sports, extracurricular activities, or team management or something of that sort. So other than education, what other benefits will these students reap out of studying in your university?
I would say one thing, first of all, to get good communication power, ability, then you can go everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Exactly.
Ability to collaborate
Yeah.
with
And communicate.
others.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly, that's great too as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're opening new avenues as well, and I'm very glad that you thought about it. And very quickly before we wrap up, because I think that before we were having conversation, I asked you this question, and you said that it's 30% scholarship or 40% scholarship, or is it 100% scholarship? Let's talk about that as well. So, are we offering 100% scholarships to students? For example, their tickets, their hostel, their tuition fees, everything will be paid for. Or do we have to still pay a little amount and then the university will give us 30% or 40% rebate on the tuition fee?
Compared to the Japanese students,
Yep.
From the a priori
Yep.
30% discount
30% discount.
of the fee.
All right.
And in addition to that, we would like to give all of them all the scholarship.
Yeah.
But it's impossible.
Exactly.
So they can they try to get the scholarship examination
Yep.
in Japan. Some of them get it, and we are trying to to negotiate with the private companies to give for certain excellent students from abroad. Please give them. We'll try to do that.
Well, and that's great as well. So if there's anything I've left out and if you think that I haven't asked or probably forgot to ask, well, it's not that I forgot to ask. I've covered all my areas as well. But if there's still something which you want to share with people, just look into the camera and talk to them. This one, over here.
Yes, like I said, that our educational institution has been actively involved in international programs. Based on that experiences and knowledges, we start a new academic program, that is distance education. So in Eisugakan education institution, that is affiliated educational institution to the Kake educational institution, have the Namiki Gakuin High School, that is distance education programs. So it's started the distance education programs 10 years ago for only Japanese people.
Yep.
But 1 year ago, for a test case, we start that program in one of the high school in China. So 6 are participate in that programs, and everything is going very smoothly, including what we call schooling. That means that coming to Japan twice a year to have a face-to-face educations. So from this coming April, we start in different countries, including Pakistan and Nepal and Korea and Sri Lanka and Iran. And so they are very much looking forward to enroll that very new academic programs. So that we offer the distance learning for the people, so the student living in their own countries. So we send some report there, and writing a report, and they send them back to Japan, and we evaluate that report. But the very different things of this distance learning between doing this in Japan and doing this in outside Japan.
Yep.
The outside Japan, so most of the people, they're falling, their native tongue is not Japanese.
Yep.
In the first year, we need to train them to learn Japanese and JLPT level 3. So in the first year, we offer physical education on art. That the necessity of the Japanese language is very low.
Okay.
So by using the language they learn at the first year, from the second year they learn to mathematics and social science and natural science and other general sciences.
Yeah.
And 3 years, the final examination, and we offer the certificate, diploma of the graduation of the Japanese high school education. So with these education, this diploma, anyone can go to any of the university in Japan.
Wow, that's great, and it's a good news too as well. So ladies and gentlemen, while being in Pakistan, you can learn from Japan as well, because that's the distant learning program. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Choi Saab, thank you very much. For Mitsugu Otsuki, thank you very much as well. And Professor, thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. But very quickly, before we head out, how's your experience in Pakistan so far?
Very nice.
Very nice. Do you love the country?
Yes.
You love the people?
I would like to come often.
Well, that's great. And we would like to have you on the show every time you're here as well. Thank you very much for being with us. Wahaya gozaimasu once again. For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, I think the world is full of opportunities. We kind of always make sure to share these opportunities with you as well. The rest totally depends on you whether to take advantage of these opportunities or not. But people who take advantage of such opportunities are the ones who are leaders today as well. But I will once again, towards the end, I will remember Mr. Mugabe as well, where he said that we cannot continue to focus on education if we are surrounded by poor graduates and rich criminals. So I think that there needs to be justice in that too as well. But education is what matters. Education is what I am today, because otherwise, if I wouldn't have been to school, I don't think that I would have made a career out of television or anything else as well. So please make sure to work hard, to study hard as well. And yeah, that's about it. Be happy in life. And we've given you 2 very quick tips about crisis management as well. The one is to recognize, and then the second one is how to respond to it as well. So please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On your television screens, on Daily Motion is World This Morning. On YouTube, it's PTV World. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3. Good morning.